All right, we'll get started with Coach Chinander. Evan Bland, Omaha World Herald.
Hey, Erik, how challenging is defending Purdue from a mental or discipline perspective with all the misdirection they mix into their offense, and what's the best way to prepare for it?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to do a lot of stuff on offense. They have for, Coach Brom's whole career. You're going to see some new plays and some new packages every week, formations, motion shifts, routes. There's going to be a lot of things to defend, and we've got to be sound in what we do. Alignment's got to be right, assignment's got to be right, eyes got to be right. I don't think there's any magic to defending it. It's a tough matchup every year, but the guys got to be dialed in on the calls that we have, and they've got to know all the adjustments, and they've got to just do their job every single snap period. And the thing that we've got to which has been a plus for us this year is we have been tackling much better, and we didn't tackle very well against Purdue last year.
Brian Christopherson, 24/7.
Hey, Erik, was that one of Damian Daniels' better games on Friday? And just what have you seen out of him and his progression this year?
Yeah, I thought he played a really good football game. He was physical. He did a nice job in the middle all day for us. He's played some really good football this year, and I think that he's getting to where he can play more plays in a row, which is kind of what he needed to do. But on last Friday, he played a really good football game, and I was proud of him. And I thought that he was a big factor in what we could do defensively.
And how do you feel Nick Henrich has sort of handled, bouncing around kind of outside, inside, how it's worked for him?
No, I think the kid's a stud. He's done everything we've asked him to do. He started off inside, and then we had some guys go down in camp, and he bounced outside, and then we had some guys go down inside, and so he's moved back there. He's a really smart guy. He's just a football player. He understands just the game in general, and then he works hard at whatever position he's going to play and learning the assignments and techniques that he needs to do to function that week. But he's handled everything really good, and he just wants to help the team.
Thank you.
Andy Kendi, KETV.
Hey, Coach, their wide receivers between Bell and Moore get much of the pub, but what does their quarterback do well?
Yeah, so he's one of the things that, I don't think that you label him as much of a runner, but he does a really good job of finding who he's supposed to find. He knows his reads. He knows where he's going with the football, and when it's not there, he's going to do a good job of getting him positive yardage with his feet and or throwing it to the check down. So I think he manages the game really well, and he knows – there's a lot of times where they're going to try to get a big shot play on you, and he knows where to go with that football, and he knows if it's not right, don't throw it. Let's not make something crazy happen, and he's going to get it to where he needs to get the football, whether it be a check down or just getting some positive yards with his feet. So I think he's a really, really good game manager. Both their guys, actually.
Yeah, you did a really good job last year with Bell. What was the secret there?
I wish there was a secret. I think that guy's a really good football player. But I think, in the back end last year, for the most part, obviously there's a couple breakdowns, or we probably would have won that football game. But, I think the guys just played with really good technique, and they had a pretty good idea of what we were trying to get done defensively and, what was going on offensively. Not that you're ever going to know 100% with this group because they do a good job of mixing it up. But I think it was just more about technique and eyes last year more than anything.
Steve Sipple, Lincoln Journal-Star.
Erik, I think you would consider that a good bounce back performance by the defense, holding Iowa to 2.9 yards per carry. How important was that for your unit to come back like that after what we would call a setback versus Illinois?
Yeah, I don't even know if I'd call that a setback. I think that was just a really poor performance, from us. And obviously, anytime that happens, it starts with the coaches, and it probably trickles down. But the guys knew it. The guys knew that we did not go out versus Illinois, and we had to get things corrected. We had to practice better. We had to prepare better. A lot of little things that sometimes young guys think don't matter, and they see how that affects, their day-to-day life, affects what happens on Friday or Saturday, and what happens in practice affects what happens on Friday and Saturday. And for them to come back and work the way they did, it's not a moral victory, but it shows that the program's moving in the right direction, and we have enough. We have enough here. We just have to do it consistently, and we have to execute consistently. But it's a very positive thing, and it's hard for those guys when they did what we asked them to do. They defended the run, and they got off the field on third down, and so it hurt them. It hurt them pretty bad to end up not being on top at the end of that game. But it just kind of shows those guys that consistency is important as anything else. You have to be consistently good on defense and stopping the run week to week and getting off the field on third down. And then maybe you win that game if you're on a little bit of a roll and you have a little momentum, and that momentum kept going all through the year, but you can't have those lows like we did at Illinois. But it was great to have that bounce back.
One other unrelated, Colin Miller, looks like he's heavily involved. I mean, what have you seen from him? What kind of impact is he having, even as, not playing?
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen, especially with something like that. That was scary when it was on the field. Anytime, somebody's, not moving out there, whether the trainers are telling them, to stay still, or they're doing it on their own, and then, they're carted off. That's a very scary thing for me, and I'm sure for the young man and his family. It's hard with the COVID because you can't go visit anybody in the hospital and all those kind of things. But he called on Sunday and said he was feeling pretty good, and I didn't know what to expect really. And then he shows up Monday morning bright and early for the meeting with a smile on his face. He's in every special teams meeting. He's in every position meeting. He's out at practice encouraging guys, coaching. He's got a script. He's helping everybody out. So as many guys like Colin Miller as we can get in this program, we need him because he's a warrior. He loves Nebraska, and he just wants to help. And even though he can't play, probably for the remainder of the season, that's going to be up to the training staff and himself. But for the remainder of the season, he may be helping coach. But he's an awesome kid, and he's still a big part of what's going on.
Thank you, Erik.
Parker Gabriel, Lincoln Journal-Star.
Hey, Erik, with a few games obviously under the belt now this season, how have you seen Cam sort of settle into playing outside at corner? And I mean, obviously back against Penn State, did a really good job against a guy like Jahan Dotson. So, I'd imagine you expect more of the same from him against a talented receiving core this weekend.
Yeah, I think obviously, we talked about it beginning of the season and having him at corner and only playing corner instead of moving him around like we had to do last year was in his best interest, and he's played really good football so far. I don't even know how many times he's been targeted this year, but it hasn't been a ton, and he's made a lot of plays. He was close on a play on Friday. I thought he was gonna pick that one, but he's playing really good football right now. He's got a lot of confidence in his game, and the guys have a lot of confidence in him out there. And I expect him to go out and play at a high level this weekend too, no matter who he's guarding.
One other quick one, if I could. There was a play. Iowa was getting toward the red zone, and Will Honus motioned out. He was all the way out on the boundary, and then he made a tackle in space on a crossing route coming back across. Is that a play that he makes last year or earlier in his Nebraska career? Because he covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you'd like to think so. I mean, he made a similar play, I guess, against Colorado there against Laviska Shenault, who I think is a really, really good player. A little different. It was zone coverage, but he knew what he had to do. I mean, we were in man coverage, and the running back was all the way out. They went empty formation, and the running back was all the way out at number one. And he knew that there's probably a good chance that, you know, when a running back gets out there, you know, there's a few things, right? They run a shallow, they run a vertical, or they run, you know, some kind of stop route out there. And so you're kind of ready for what happens. Now, anything can happen at any time, but I think he had a pretty good idea of what was going on, and I thought he made a really good play, and it helped us get off the field after a misstep that we had to go right back out there. So I was happy with the play he made.
Two more for Coach. Sean Callahan, Husker Online.
Hey, Coach, I'm curious, not knowing the status of that Minnesota game next week, do you even have to kind of tell your guys, like, look, this could be it? I mean, we got to leave our best effort out here on the field, not knowing how many more of these Saturdays we're going to have left here this season.
Yeah, I think if we gotta tell them that this might be it, so we need our best effort, we probably got the wrong guys here. Should be your best effort every time you go out there. We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, you guys probably know more than I do about Minnesota. I don't care about Minnesota right now. It's Purdue for us, and we'll move on to Minnesota the next week. But our guys are just ready to play, and they've been wanting to play every game, and you know, it hasn't bounced our way some of the times, but these kids wanted to play football at the beginning of the year, and Coach Frost, you know, obviously fought to get them to play football, and they just want to play every chance they get. And so I'm not worried about them thinking this could be their last game, or, you know, we might have two more or anything like that. I know whoever we play, whenever we play, they're going to go out there and give it their best shot because they love the game and they just love playing at Nebraska.
We'll wrap up with Sam McEwen, Omaha World Herald.
Erik, you're a former Iowa guy, so is Bob Diaco. You ever run across him in your career, or just chatted with him about defense?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, when we were at Central Florida, he was at Connecticut as the head coach. So, you know, we talked a little bit before the game, and I've talked to him a few times at, you know, the conventions and those types of things. But that's about as far as it goes, you know. You know, we friendly conversations most of the time, and you know, that's about it, to be honest with you.
Styles are different though, right? Like he's fairly well known for sort of a prevent style of defense, and would it be fair to say you're far more aggressive in that way?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, to be honest with you, I've seen them on film, obviously, when we're getting ready for an opponent that you know, a crossover opponent they've played before and those types of things. But to be honest with you, I haven't studied his system enough to know, you know, what exactly he's doing and how much pressure and all those types of things. But you know, I guess from what we've heard, he's a little bit more, you know, drop eight or you know, whatever you want to call it. And we've been a little more aggressive, but I couldn't tell you enough to give you a definitive answer there.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll have a couple players here in a minute.